Stick with me as I take you to the Lancaster Fair. As many of you guys know, I'm clearing out a bunch of my old footage that I should have made stories with, but since I got hurt, I really didn't have time, and some of these are really old. So this is over a year old. This is the Lancaster Fair where Burma and I went there during Pork Fest. And we took a afternoon out of Pork Fest and decided to go to this state fair in New Hampshire. So let me take you there. It was a lot of fun. We were just screwing around, and some of you guys actually saw me live stream from there. So I'll make sure I try to include that link in here. So if you want to watch the live stream, it was pretty funny too. Anyway, enjoy this. Since I have a lot of international viewers, let me tell you what a state fair is. So back in the day before internet and when you really couldn't travel very far, the state fair was a big deal. It was where everyone around the state came to show off their livestock, mingle, meet each other, and it was kind of the social event of the year. Well, they've stuck around, and here you can see Burma looking at new Mustangs. Surprise, surprise. If you guys didn't know, Burma kind of has a thing for Mustangs. But you know, these days it's changed some. Like here, you know, you can check out new cars and stuff like that. And of course, you've got the carnival rides, and the carnival rides are everywhere. And this particular one, Lancaster, goes on for a whole week. So I believe they have a pass you can buy for the whole week where you can go and ride all the rides. I'm not sure about that. I think you have to pay per ride, but I mean a pass that gets you in the door. These rides were completely mind-blowing to people, you know, back in the day. And of course, you know, part of the going to a fair is winning prizes and, you know, playing all the games. And you guys kind of know that nostalgia. But it still exists today. They still got carnival games up there. But what's interesting about a state fair is not only are there animals, there's all people enter competitions with their vegetables. And look at all the vegetables, and they even have categories where kids grow vegetables. I thought was really neat. So you can submit your veggies for ribbons and judging. That's very old school and romantic in a way. I feel like I'm walking around Charlotte's Web when you go to this thing. That I still really like it. If you've never been to a state fair, you're really missing out, and it feels very nostalgic now. It's awesome. Fabric arts are back on the rise, and here you can see old school quilting competition and people also just displaying their quilts for sale. But it's interesting that these new generation of folk really like fabric. Like you go to Twitch and now people are quilting on there and sewing and crocheting and knitting. It's really neat to see all the different things. And of course they have some jewelry makers and, you know, other vendors you can wander around and get handmade stuff. Living in the cold of New Hampshire, of course I stopped and checked out the wood stoves and the heating displays. And this is a pretty neat device that you see all over New Hampshire, and it is an outdoor wood stove where you feed in wood and it actually heats up hot water and circulates it. So not only that, you can take the hot water from this device and power it through this blower, and it blows out hot air. So you can turn hot water into hot air just from wood power. So it's pretty neat to see how that's done, and it's, you know, it's gotten pretty good now, the technology. Like they insulate the pipes so good. I'll show you the pipes, these big thick things here, that it really can keep your water warm underground and into your house. I would love to be able to afford one of these things one day. They're really cool. As you walk through the fair, there's just stuff everywhere. You can't, I mean, there's so much stuff. Like here's a little ride for kids, and they actually have 4-H exhibits. So you go into 4-H, and if you guys are international and don't know what that is, it's a club that encourages kids to grow food and learn how to farm. And if, you know, I'm all about teaching kids empowerment and growing their own vegetables. And here's a competition where they've put in their own vegetables or did some sort of project, the 4-H projects. And they get judged at the state fair. It's very fun. And here's a place where little kids can get in and learn about how a farm works. And they've got a little display set up. The Fish and Game actually had its own place set up that you could go in and learn more about New Hampshire. And here's the rescue horn, an old school rescue horn that was out there. And you go in and it will show you different wildlife. Like here's a river trout that there's a lot of information about, trying to fish responsibly and what's going on with the river trout. But of course, what gets your attention is the giant stuffed bear. And I've had a lot of problems with bears lately. If you guys have been keeping up with me, you know that the bears keep attacking my porch. But it's really amazing to see how big their claws are, just their fingernails. One good thing the department does do is crack down on poachers. And I am no fan of poachers, but they have a whole display here of kind of homemade redneck guns that they confiscated from poachers. And hunting weapons. It was a pretty interesting display. So he's talking and telling us about that. I later moved into the blacksmith shop, and if you guys love old school technology, this was really neat. They gathered all this blacksmith material and old machinery for woodworking and metalworking together. I didn't know what most of it was, but they do live displays where a blacksmith will actually sit there and create nails or horseshoes or something. So that was pretty neat. But what was also really neat are these old presses they had, and I mean there's just tons of machinery I've never seen, and I really have a respect for the technology back in the day. I can't imagine what went into just even making one of these old school machines, and a lot of them still work. They would show these lathing or mortise machines for woodworking, and there's old school butter churn. So if you like antiques, you'll be in heaven in this place. There's just tons of it. Because of homesteading and living off the grid, these machines have become quite valuable lately, and people really want to know how to use them. There's this whole new interest in it, and I think that's great. The organizers of the fair have a good sense of humor. Like, here's a box with baby rattlers, so you think it's a rattlesnake, and you open it, and it's actually baby rattles. I thought that was funny. And then, like I showed you this before, this is from the Future Farmers of America, and it's a display where little kids can come in and learn about farming. And here's a better view of the kiddie rides. I like how they made it into an old school train. And you can't really have a state fair without animals. And so here is people entering their cows for competition. They're milking cows. And of course there's sheep. People, I think there's even a wool demonstration where somebody shaves. I didn't see it, but I heard it was there. And of course goats. I mean, who doesn't love goats? You gotta love goats. Goats are awesome. Also, one thing people take pretty serious is their show chickens. And if you guys don't raise chickens, you might not understand this, but there are certain chickens that are just raised because they're beautiful and they're interesting to look at. And they're raised for breeding, really. So, yeah, there's lots of fancy chickens around. And you can enter your own chicken to be judged. And don't feel bad. I mean, a chicken doesn't really have the same complex about getting judged as we do. It's a lot of pressure to be judged, And these chickens take it in stride. Doesn't affect their ego too much. Of course, there's also a competition for old school tractors and some display of new tractors. But it's neat. If you're a tractor buff or a motor buff, small engine buff, you'll love it. Apparently, I lied. I forgot that I did see shearing. I just forgot that it was kids doing it. And there's a good example of sheep shearing and how it's done old school with scissors. It's pretty neat to watch. Also, if you're brave enough, you can take a helicopter ride. Yeah, check that out. Then you get over to the horse section, and there's a whole huge, I think there was like 2 big barns and also horse pulling displays. If you don't know much about horses, it is a huge investment to have horses. I've had horses in the past, and Some of these people really ramp it up. I mean, look at these show buggies. They're amazing. You could actually, some of these people were driving them around and you could get a ride in them. But people put a lot of effort and pride into these things. And it's just a great way to show off their horses and have fun with their horses on the weekends. It's kind of like an old school car show. I made my way over to the horse pulling competition, and this shows off their strength and how much weight they can pull. Sometimes the horses don't quite cooperate. One thing I was really drawn to, which I'd never seen, was ox driving. It was really interesting to watch, and I even live streamed it. If you guys have never seen one, it is basically an obstacle course kind of beauty competition for oxen. If you found this really interesting, you can check out the live stream I did with Burma where we actually watched the oxen competition. Another thing that sets apart a state fair from just like a carnival or something is, you know, they want to cater to things that farmers and anyone in agriculture would be interested in. So there's all this equipment, and a lot of this stuff's the brand new models that are out, and some people are really into it. Now, I am like, if you have no idea how expensive this stuff is, there's like millions of dollars of trucks and equipment. And even the local Lancaster Fire Department, you know, polished their truck up, and it looks really nice. I bet that was a pretty penny. Of course, going to this fair with a trucker, Burma was drooling at the new trucks. And this one particular was in a Transformers movie. I believe this is Optimus Prime, the one they used for it. And you get a better look at it here. But yeah, that's a pretty pricey truck, but it's beautiful. Anyway, I had to pry Burma away from this area. On a side note, interesting thing to see is ox driving is not just a man's game. Apparently there are a lot of women drivers now. So who knew? I wanted to make a joke about no prob llama, but then I realized I think those are alpacas and not llamas, so that joke doesn't work on that level anymore, but I still want to use it. Anyway, they had a petting zoo, and of course, you know, it's like a magnet to me. I'm going to go in and play with all these cute animals. And all you have to do is bribe them and feed them a little bit, and they'll come right up to you. They're all friendly. Yeah, that was always my favorite things, were the petting zoos. I still am, I'm not embarrassed to admit it. I still go to the petting zoos all the time. I refuse to accept that they're just for kids. Then there's some giant horses. And I love horses. They're just so cool looking. I got a chance to poke my head into this trailer that was getting ready to haul off and meet these guys. So they were very interested in me. Did I hear you say you love horses too? Well, there's no shortage of them. In fact, this barn is nothing but draft horses, and I believe they are in there for competition. I'm not sure if they're in for the pulling competition or actually being judged. But if you love horses, there is no shortage of horses at this fair. I didn't quite catch why they trim their tails in the summertime. Probably something to do with pulling in harnesses. I don't know. If you know, leave that answer in the comments below. And if you like cows, you go through and hang out with the milk cows. They're real friendly. They'll let you pet them and moo at you. They're pretty cute. Kind of scratch them just like a cat. You get there behind the ears, they like that. Look at that. They're just big cats, apparently. Well, maybe like a dog. I don't know. Definitely a cow. Something I forgot to mention is there were dogs everywhere. You could bring your dog to the fair because, you know, it's a fair about animals. So don't forget your dog if you want to go.
I got some. She's not from the family.
Gotta get the dog up here.
Look, now this is what I'm talking about.
See the color?
Look at this.
And the blue dot? What about him?
Silver. That's silver.
Oh, no, I didn't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's silver.
Huh. Just a natural color.
No,
That's
I've never
weird.
seen that.
I guess it's a certain breed.
And no country fair would truly be complete without an Elvis impersonator. And I would love to let you listen to him sing, but YouTube is not so cool about copyright, and they'll probably take down this whole video if I play this. But it was a lot of fun. I'm very jealous of his shoes and jacket. I want to own them so badly. So if any of you viewers want to send me that jacket, I am ready to accept it.
Some people got it though, right? Who got it? She got it. She got it. You got it? All right. See if you can get your chocolate now. Here we go.
There were also a lot of handmade furniture you could buy. I think some of it was Amish furniture, and some was handmade by other people. But you could get some pretty nice stuff right at the fair there, which I had no idea you could go furniture shopping at a fair. But yeah, I do love, you know, natural furniture though. I'm like that. Up north, you know, a lot of people like that real wood look. Oh, also there's tons of tchotchkes. I mean, so many tchotchkes. You just know it. And hiking sticks, of course. One people I want to spotlight is the Black Pet Project. If you guys didn't know it, black pets are always the last to be adopted. And all my dogs and cats have been black pretty much. I love this project. I couldn't find these people. So if you're watching this and you're from that, contact me. I'd love to donate. I hope that brought back some memories and had some laughs. But if you get a chance, the Lancaster Fair was pretty fun, and you know, some of you, a lot of you, have expressed interest in going to PorcFest next year. So if you go, we could set up a day and all go together. It'd be fun. So let me know. Otherwise, please keep shopping on my Amazon link. It's in the description below. It helps pay for the show since YouTube pretty much stinks at paying advertisers anymore. I should say paying us with advertiser money. And then the other thing is, you know, check out my website below. If you haven't signed up for my newsletter, it only comes out, I don't spam you. I just send you notifications when I put up a new story, because YouTube's not very good at sending them anymore to people. So please sign that up, and if you do, you get access to all kinds of articles. Excuse me, you get access to all kinds of videos that you don't get anywhere else. Boy, I'm tongue-tied this morning. This is what I look like at 6 in the morning recording, by the way. I look like people could be like, man, did you just get a boxing match? No, my eyes are just swollen. Anyway, you guys don't care about that. Just keep watching. Here's my other stuff. Go look at it. I'm done. I'm a mess this morning. I will see you at the next story. Be nice to that cat.